Hello, today is June 25th, 2024. I'm meeting this afternoon with Mr. Buck Morning at his home in Loveland, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for the Northern Colorado Veterans History Project. Welcome, Buck, and thanks for sitting down today to tell your story.
Thank you.
Ironically, on June 25th, the anniversary of the start of the Korean War, so interesting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at Camp Pendleton when that happened.
Oh boy. Let's start out, if we could. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, a little bit about your family.
Well, I was born in Monticello, Iowa, 1930, December 20th, 1930. I was the third child in the family. I had two older sisters, Carlita and Money. And we lived there in Monticello. My dad worked at the Franklin factory, and then my other sister Joanne was born, and then after Joanne, my brother Buzz was born. Carl's his name, but we call him Buzz. And then I had another sister, Sonia, and then I had my younger brother John. And we all grew up in Monticello, and I left Monticello when I was 17 years old. I joined the Marine Corps.
Well, now let's back up and just let me ask you some questions about what was life like growing up in Monticello. Any fond memories? Any?
Oh yeah, I played a little football, a little basketball, but I quit school in 11th grade because I never liked school.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine had graduated a year before that, and he said, "Let's go with the Marines." I said, "Sounds like a good idea." Well, Mother said, "No, you're not. You're going to graduate." And I said, "I'm not going to graduate. I'll be 18 years old before long, I'll go then." So she said, "Okay," but I told her, I said, "I will graduate." So she signed my papers, and
because you had to be, she had to sign you because you were
17 at the time.
Yeah, right.
So I went in the Marine Corps when I was 17. That was November 2nd, 1950 or 1948.
Well, now, of all the service branches, why did you guys decide on the Marines?
Well, a couple of my friends, their brothers were in the Marines, and the guy I went in with, his brother had two brothers in the Marines, and I don't know, just the Marines seemed the likely place to go. I had already spent 10 months in the Naval Reserve out of Dubuque, and I went over there in January, and but then I decided I wanted to go with the Marines, so I transferred from the Naval Reserve into the Marine Corps on November 2nd, 1948. And
then how much longer after you signed up did you ship off to boot camp?
Well, we went
right away?
About 2 weeks later.
Okay.
We had to go to Des Moines to get sworn in, and I can remember standing in the room after we swore in, they played the song, "I Never Promised You a Rose Garden." That stuck in my mind forever.
No doubt.
And, but we got aboard a train and took it to San Diego, and they took us over to the barracks. Back in them days, they were downsizing so fast from the Second World War that we'd only allow four a month from our state. And I was with the next four that got out. And the guy I went with, we call him Chubb, but his real name was Edward Warner. We went together in the Marines and ended up at boot camp down in San Diego. But usually the boot camp is 8 weeks, but we spent almost 4 weeks getting the platoon together, and we finally got the platoon together, and our platoon was 103, a picture of it here, and we went up to Camp Matthew at the rifle range, and then come back, and from the rifle range, then we went to what they call a military. They run you through the boots, familiarize you with other weapons other than M1 rifle, which was ours, and then we get orders, and they sent me to Camp Pendleton.
Well, now, what did you guys do to kill the time for those 4 weeks until you put together a platoon?
Well, they always had us doing something, picking up papers, and
oh.
dive bombing, they called it. And they'd send us up to a place where the maintenance was, and they had an old timer up there. He was a master sergeant. he was in the Black Forest over in France during the First World War, and he was telling us stories. We'd sit around and listen to them. And then they ask you, "Is anybody truck driver?" And always a couple of guys raise their hands. So take them 2 wheelbarrows and get going. That's the way they worked it in there. But anyway, then they decided that since I'd been worked on a farm now and then, they sent me to engineering. So I went to this company here, A Company Engineers, and I spent all my time with them. We were doing all kinds. I went to schools. I went to rigging school, went to camouflage school, I went through bridging school, I went through carpenter school, and all that part of engineering. And
is it similar to like the Navy Seabees? Is that?
No, not really.
No.
But we're combat engineers. We do everything.
Oh.
You know, and they needed to. When I got into Korea, I had I was made corporal, and I had a fire team, and we would go with the tanks when they'd move out, because we'd run the minefield ahead of them, make sure there was no mines ahead of them, and that's what we did. And then at night we joined the 5th Marines up in the hills, and our dangerous part of the whole thing was that we went in front of the lines for about 1,000 yards and laid a minefield up, bouncing betties, trip flares out, and then we come back and dig in, wait. Next morning we had to go, nobody come through, we had to go take them out so they jump off. That was the most scary part of it all. But
Oh, sure.
But then they finally called that off because we never got it. It was just a waste of time. But then we landed in.
Well, let me back up before we get too far ahead of your story in Korea. I know you had that naval reserve training to, I guess, kind of help
Learn how to paint.
Prepare you a little bit. But how was that transition going from civilian life into military life, Marine life, no less? Was that much of a transition?
Well, the Navy one, you know, we'd only go there once a week.
Ah.
And I spent more time painting and drill. They take us out on the parade field out there, practice. I was pretty good at the marching and drilling when I went in the Marine Corps, but you didn't dare some telling me that because it was a little tough boot camp. And but anyway, I went through all those schools, and I always wanted a demolition number, which was 1375. I went to the school, but they only gave 3 of them out, and I wasn't one of the 3. But I done the demolition work. I carried it back and stuff, but they had me as a rigger 1373, and I had the rigger number, but I done everything else.
Now, what's a rigger do? Prepare everything, or what?
Yeah, we learned I did run spice cables and how to run rigs and pulling things and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Most part was bridging school. We went through bridging school, built bridges, Bailey bridges, and foot bridges and stuff like that. Camouflage, learned how to camouflage, and we did a lot of stuff there. Pendleton, before I went overseas, I was on film crew that made the movie The Sands of Iwo Jima.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Did you get a chance to meet like John Wayne or anybody like
well,
that?
he was there, but he's not as social as you think he is.
No.
But Forrest Tucker, I met him, and Black, all those guys. They'd come down and eat with us, you know. But John Wayne didn't, you know. But it was an experience to watch him make a movie.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of this stuff. Like when you see an airplane come in, strafe, you see that. Well, what they do is they take a hose, big long hose with holes in it, and they run it way out, and then they take black peat, and they pour over the top of that them hoses. So when a plane comes in on the thing, they're firing his gun. There's a guy that sits up in a big booth watching it, and I don't know what he pushes, but sends air down through them things in there. That's strafe. I mean, that's one of your movies, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Sands of Iwo.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you remember the movie when John Wayne was going to town and he stopped, picked up Black, the other guy. They gave him a ride and they were going. Well, the Jeep in front of us was being pulled by a guy, about 6 guys. I had a rope tied to it. They were pulling it. He wasn't, he was just sitting in there.
Yeah, right. Huh.
Well, that's what I was digging. They put us on the road digging, and they told us if you look at it when they buy, they cut you. But I was looking sideways. But when they showed the movie at home, they stopped it and showed that that was me, you know. There. But
So anybody that watches that movie can see you as an extra in there?
pardon?
Anybody that watches that movie can find you in the movie or an extra in the movie?
I guess sometimes it shows it, sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, is that right?
Depends
Okay.
on how they edit it. I haven't seen it for forever, but anyway, it was funny to watch it. We built all the tents they had down there, and we found out how they made all that thing. The roll call, mail call. Everybody's running up the thing there to get mail. Well, then they cut it. These guys, everybody reverses. The guys in the front go to the back. Then they do it again. You know, it's like there's hundreds of guys coming. You know, but they have funny ways of doing stuff in the movies. But yeah, we were supposed to go to the premiere. The guys that worked on the film crew, but when that came out, I was in Korea, and they come over though and got a tent and showed us the movie. They're in the tent. We were, I forget where we were at, because when we first landed, I went with the 1st Provisional Marine Brigade over there. They couldn't get a division together because downsizing so bad, but they had to have people over there now, so they put, that's our A company. We went over, A company engineers, then they had 5th Marines, a company of tanks, artillery. That makes a brigade, and we sent us over first. And we landed at, about the 1st of August when we landed in there. I got pictures there that showed us when we got there. But the North Koreans had fought their way all the way through. They got Seoul, and they were cleared out the Han River, and they were getting ready to come across and take the rest of the island, or the rest of the peninsula. Well, we set up on the other side, and they didn't make it. We turned them back, and then we'd hit them, push them back, and then give it to the Army, pull up and move again. They used this more for a strike force, you know. And then in September, when the division come over, we joined them as they made the turn down the ground corridor, and we went into Inchon. We took Inchon, and then we took Kimpo Airfield, which is the airfield. Then we come and took Seoul, and we took Seoul and pulled out, gave it to the Army. Army lost it. We had to go take it back again, and then this time we kept them so they wouldn't get back in. Then they pulled us out, went around the Horn and back up the other side, up to Wonsan, and from there up to Chosin Reservoir.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to back up again, once again. You said you were at Pendleton when the war broke out,
Yep.
correct? You remember where you were when you heard the news and what you were thinking?
Well, we had just had a 1st Marine Division reunion, or kind of inspection of something. Everybody was down on the parade field. All the 1st Marine Division was at Pendleton, and every company and everything. We was all in dress blues, and the chief of the, I think it was Smith at the time, was the General Smith. Anyway, he's on, and I said, if anybody's ever been in one, to listen to him, you know. When he announces that 1st Marine Division, I don't know who it was, stepped up and he said, 1st Division, attention, and then we start down battalion, all the way down to platoon, you can hear them. And everybody comes to attention, you know, then they have a parade review, you know, and then first one's a parade by it. But after the parade, though, we just kept going up the thing back to our outfit, and first time I'd ever heard or seen a jet too. They had them 80 jets come right over the top of us. Dad blew our hats off. First time I'd ever seen or heard one. And went back to our outfit, and then we changed from our blues into our greens, and then we had each company inspection. They come by and inspect the company. And then after that, we went back to our barracks, and first sergeant come in and says, "Everybody out front." You know, what the hell's going on? So we were in utilities then, went out in front, and he says, "North Korea has just come across the border and is wiping out South Korea. We've been called to go." So we said, "We don't go ahead, we get your stuff ready. If you got anything you want to get rid of, you better get rid of it, because we're getting ready to roll." Well, 2 weeks we had everything boxed up and ready to go, and we went down to San Diego and boarded ship. But our ship, we burned a turbo out about 2 hours out, and we had to go to Frisco to get it fixed. And we went there and left, and had to go heck to catch the rest of the convoy going over. We caught them just as they were coming into Pusan, and that one picture I got shows us.
So you went directly to Korea. You didn't stop in Japan?
Nope. Yeah. We were gonna, but they did. They had to have us there now because they were. If we would have went to Japan, they would have had the whole peninsula. They'd come across the river, but
wow,
we stopped them there.
Yeah. Well, that begs the question. Here's a boy from landlocked Iowa going to sea. Did you get your sea legs? How was that crossing for you?
Oh, I've been on maneuvers before that.
Oh, had you? Okay.
Yeah, I've been on maneuvers. We went up and we were supposed to go on an island off Frisco, but it was so rough we couldn't go in. We couldn't go back to the ship. We rendezvoused for about 3 hours until finally we was running out of gas or out of fuel. So we decided that the ship would pitch, you know, and we'd get alongside of it. And one time the ship would way up here, then we'd be up close. So there's nets hanging over the side you climb on. So we'd stand, 4 guys standing on the side of the landing craft, would turn your rifles around, butt down, and then when that ship would pitch, you'd grab them ropes and get up there quick because there were going to be 4 more behind you. That's the way we unloaded that night. And I never got sick aboard ship. A lot of guys
really,
did,
yeah.
but I never got sick.
Yeah.
And then we landed down in Baja, California, and made an invasion down there on that. And that was a funny one because we was all dug in along the beach. And here come a Mexican pushing a cart selling tacos right in front of us. But it was an experience, and we took our gear over. But the worst part of the thing over there, I don't know if you've ever have heard of the Tootsie Roll.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a true story.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that when we get it to
But,
the Pusan or the
we finally got our way up in the reservoir. And,
well, so you were part of the Pusan Perimeter then that held.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was with the first. Well, that's right there. But I got a picture here that shows all of us guys on the dock down there. Yeah, we rode the train for 12 miles. Then we got off the train and we walked the last 12. And got set up, and then on the 12th of August, we made contact with the enemy. And that was a shock for a lot of the guys. We had some Second World War guys in there, but they were mostly in command, But you're young, you got old fast.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's this 17. Had you even turned 18 yet?
I was 18.
By then, but still an 18-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
You're still really a kid.
But then I went over when I was 19.
Yeah. But still, I mean, you're still borderline a kid. I mean, on the front lines.
The same age,
Yeah.
But
what was that first experience like? That first battle? Were you scared?
Well,
I mean, what were you thinking?
I was scared, especially the first night when the shit hit the fan, we always call it.
Yeah.
And but they were, I don't know, they were just trying to scare us. They was firing over our heads with machine guns, But our lieutenant was a pretty sharp guy, He said, just remember the old saying, don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes. And they never come any farther. They wanted to scare us, but they didn't. We went the next day and put them on the run. But anyway, you got old fast, let's put it that way.
Yeah, sure.
But somebody said, were you scared? I said, yeah, I'm scared a lot of times,
Yeah. So you worked your way from Pusan. You went over to the west coast to Inchon. It worked that way, or or up and over, or how did?
We went around into Inchon.
Oh, okay.
Come into it. You know, I don't know if anybody's familiar, but the tides in Korea on there are the largest tides in the world. 56-foot tide comes in. So they had 12 hours to get enough of us in there. And we were supposed to be H+20, but they got us screwed up someplace. And we landed, and the Womindow Island was out there. 5th Marines was on Womindow Island. They'd taken the island, but they were still on the island when we went past them. I was in an LSD. That's a landing craft dock. Big old ship, and they have the doors that open up and the ramp. We had tanks and our equipment in there with us, but we landed there, and from then on we went to Kimpo, and Kimpo airstrip took it, and then the big push was Seoul. We took Seoul, you know, and got it back to them. But
what can you describe what that was like? Was the city pretty damaged? Was it
quite a bit?
Yeah,
quite a bit. Wasn't as bad. Was the second time, not the first time.
Yeah.
They tried to take it easy and go around house to house and let the people know we're there to stay in, you know. And but then we left, and the army come in, and they I don't know what happened, but the North Koreans come right back in, pushed them out.
Yeah.
Well, then we went back in, took them again, and this time we had them. So they found out that we were going to cut them off because they were still down to Pusan. They were still down Pusan. A lot of them was. They didn't realize we was going to cut them off, you know, and they were headed north fast, you know. And but anyway, we come around and went in around the Horn and back up there again. I said I spent more time aboard ship. But anyway, we got in there and landed, and we had a little village on the way. I don't know, can't think of the name of it, but then we ended up in the reservoir, and called Chosin Reservoir, but it's a big dam. It's a big reservoir, and we were up on the right-hand side, and it had a sawmill, and they set us guys up into there. We were set up in a sawmill. Some of them went up to Dam Knee, and they're the ones that got hit first. And then they called us back in because they were all over the place. MacArthur says, "Oh, they're just a bunch of coolies." When we pick up a patrol, you know, Chinese, you know, "Oh, they're just a bunch of coolies." He didn't know what they. Well, you read that letter when you get a chance. But they sent 190,000 Chinese in to wipe us out at the reservoir.
And how many Marines were up there?
Well,
We had what, 20, 30,000? How many?
16,000. 16,000 is the 1st Marine Division. They whittled us down to 6,500, but we killed 37,000 of them and wounded another 24,000, and put the hurt on them. They lost a couple armies, but they had a saying, you know, the Chinese did, and he says, "We see boots, we fight. We see leggings, we run," because the Marine Corps wore leggings and the Army wore boots. That's why they call us the Yellow Leg Warriors. That's what our title was. And but anyway, we went up there in October, and I think I can't remember. It's in December when we started back out. I spent Christmas up there, and we got my birthday up there too.
Right.
I turned 20 when I was up there, and
Can you talk a little bit about conditions? You know, obviously it was extremely cold, but how were you surviving, I guess?
Well, I told everybody, I wore in, the outfit I wore in, my dungarees and stuff, I put on 2 pair more, but we didn't have any foul weather gear. Field jackets is all we had, and our helmet. Well, that's how the Tootsie Rolls come in. They dropped them in out of the plane, and we were to clean them up. It's supposed to be our foul weather gear, but instead it was tongue suppressors and Tootsie Rolls, case after case of Tootsie Rolls. Well, everybody had Tootsie Rolls, but they become kind of a lifesavers because the sea rashes were froze. You just unwrap about 4 or 5 of them, pop in your mouth, and let them melt. It gives a lot of the guys a little more energy. But you slept inside. Well, not inside. You made yourself stuff to sleep into. But you never zipped up your sleeping bag because you didn't know when you're going to have to move. And because they come at night a lot of times, and you could hear them. You could hear them up in the hill. They'd be blowing bugles and whistles, and pretty soon here they come. Well, the mortars would send. You'd hear the mortars behind it, thump thump. They were sending flares up and light up the whole area, and they were just like sitting ducks. The 25 machine guns and down below, and see the tracers go up, and pretty soon you see tracers come back. It just constantly for 2-3 hours. And the next morning it was. I have a disc in there called the Chosin, and it shows what we do afterwards, picking up the bodies. They're all froze stiff. They had piles of them as high as that 4 or 5 deep. Those guys had them around their machine gun net, froze, but it wasn't no picnic.
Well, I sit and think about this. You weren't eating properly. Hygiene was probably awful. You weren't getting enough sleep. You were out in extremely cold conditions. Right. Any one of those would knock a man down by themselves, but you had all of them plus the stress of war on top of it. How did you survive that?
I don't know. I told, young and dumb, I told him. I told him, I says, the outfit I wore them out. Never took them off. Never took them off. I added to them, but never took them off. And we got back down. I got pneumonia after we got down into the thing. I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia. And there I got, at least they cleaned me up a little bit. Had rings my feet.
Did you have any frostbite or anything like that?
Oh yeah, both of my feet were real bad. I'm still suffering with them. I go every 4 months and they trim the toes. They turn under and no toenails on it. If they don't get them cut, they bleed. And so I gotta go every 4 months. That's one of the reasons I still kind of walk on that. But other than that, I was fortunate. I dodged the bullet and had a lot of them close, but none of them had my name on them. So, but I lost my best friend. And
that had to be tough.
Right alongside of me there, he got took. Another young gut shot, but he made it through it. And survival of the fittest, they said. But I know they got hurt a lot worse than we did.
Yeah.
They froze to death. A lot of those guys froze to death. We found them in their foxholes, froze, stiff as a board. We've got some of them that froze clear to their knees. The legs were black all the way to their knees. It's. I wish everybody could see that movie. I got a disc in here called The Chosin, and it's actual pictures taken in Korea of the Chosin Reservoir, just the reservoir, and I don't know. I watched it the first time. I had to get up and leave.
Really?
Because I know some of the guys in there with me. But I was with engineering and combat engineer. But everybody should know. Well, I'm sure every Marine knows that his first duty as a Marine is a rifleman.
Yeah, right.
Because you got to go through boot camp, familiarize with the rifle, machine gun, and stuff like that. Everybody, I don't care if you're a cook, drive truck, or what, you've gone through boot camp. Because up in the reservoir, we had guys up there that filled in, was in the band. And we had cooks. They all could have a rifle, and we needed them,
Yeah.
And I remember the general flew in up there at the reservoir after everybody, they got him out of UDMD. They all got back down there together, and they had the whole division was together except for down at Coterie. I don't know if you ever heard of Chesty Puller.
Oh yeah.
But he had the 1st Marines down there, and the 5th and 7th were up there in the reservoir with us. and he made give us a speech up there, you know, kind of build everybody's everything. He says, they say in the papers that retreat. He said, we don't retreat. He said, how can you retreat when you're surrounded? We just turned and fought the other way. And we were under the command of the 8th Army and MacArthur and that bunch. Anyway, that's when Harry Truman took him out and put Ridgway in, you know. Then things started changing over there, you know. But I says, we still just ended up pushing more than 38 and left them there. We had the whole place. We could have wiped out the whole island, but they didn't want it. I don't know why. Same way as Vietnam. Vietnam, they got the whole thing now. South Vietnam, they lost it, and we were at the South Vietnam. Yeah. We just pulled out and left them. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, war's war, and there's big guys in Washington pushing the buttons, and we're getting the other end of it. Yeah. But anyway, it was an experience.
How long did it take you guys to get from the reservoir back down to the coast then?
About 18 days.
18 days.
It was 18 miles. And the Chinese were doing their damn, they put everything they had, tried to stop us. They were all over the place.
What was it like going through that gauntlet? I mean...
But the roads were froze, and trucks would slide off the edge of the road, and I was with demolition, and anything installed and everything, we always said, if it don't move, we blow it. And truck would blow the block, put a TNT, blow it. Then we had a retriever tank with us, and it'd push them over the side, and about 300 feet down, you know. And if they couldn't get them over the side, we blew them and shot all the tires out. So they were unusable, you know. But it was, you slept standing up. I don't know if you ever done it, but you had to, they have fire watch, they called it. There's 3 men in the thing, and one man's awake all the time, but you couldn't sleep. There was always something going around. And
you couldn't have fires, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That was a bad one.
Yeah.
That was a no-no. It was so cold, if you believe it or not, that the trucks, if you had to set the brakes because even out of gear they'd go. Transmissions were so full. We couldn't shut them off. When the plane would come in to pick up the wounded, they couldn't shut their engines off because they couldn't get them started because it was so cold. And they were just one right after another coming in and hauling. They'd only take the wounded out, you know, and the guys that bad in the frostbite, they couldn't walk. Every truck was, 4 trucks in a row, every one of them was loaded with dead, you know, people. But we don't leave nobody behind. Yeah. We bring everybody out. Then when the Royal Marines come up and come through the Army and them come up, but they got attacked on the way up, and the Army went back and the Royal Marines kept on coming. And they come back with us, down below with us. They used to say, next to us, you're the best, you'd say. But they come to our reunion too, part of the Royal Marines and thing there. But yeah, there's a lot of memories there, good and bad, you know, and I think the bad overcomes the good, but
yeah.
I had a good time in the Marine Corps. I mean, when I come back, I went to Beaufort, South Carolina. There's a boot camp down there. They put me in emergency maintenance. I was down there for a while. I was there for 4 months, and then I got transferred to Quantico.
Well, I'm going to keep backing up to. So you made it. You did the whole 18-mile not retreat movement. Or did you get it? Were you injured, wounded enough, or with your frostbite? Did you get evacuated, or did you do the whole?
When we got down there, they I don't know if you ever heard that, but there's tubes that come down out of the reservoir, and they go across the road. Well, the Chinese blew them out, and they couldn't get any trucks across, so they called us guys down there to look at it. I said, well, what can we do? You know, we need a Bailey Bridge. So they flew one in from Japan. I don't know if you ever seen a Bailey Bridge. It's just a big 20-some feet long, and it's got sides on it. And you sit it down, lock them together, make them together. But anyway, they brought one in just to base part of it. And the first drop, he missed the road and it slid off the side down the hill. So they had to call in another one, and they got it in, and they got it in place, and it was kind of funny because first time they put a truck up on it, the thing skidded, and everything was froze. So they had to dig on the other side. The guys went across and they dug down, drove stakes in there, and once you got the front wheels up, everything was okay. You drove across. Well, then when he went off, they had to stop this time because you kick it back, So what they do then? The first truck would go across, and just before he fell off, the next truck would come on, and then he'd go across. They'd done that until he got about. They must have put 30 trucks across there, getting out of there, and we were the last ones out, and it was a demolition. We blew everything.
Yeah.
So we got down to we went across. We had a Jeep and a trailer full of explosives. We got across on the other side, and our lieutenant said, "What are you going to do?" And this one kid, by the name of Spice, he said, "I'll show you what to do." He put about 2 sticks of dynamite in, or TNT in there, and blew the end out, and we dropped the ridge. Nobody else was going to come down on it. And then it got a little thinner on the way down because the Army had started Parkway and had MPs around there, but it started getting warmer too.
It must have been frightening knowing that you had no you were the last to cross. You had no protection behind you, right?
No, they were following us out as best they could, but we had the 5th Marines stay on the high ground and kept them off of the convoy because that's what they were after. The convoy, they wanted to get, but they got a couple times. They got in there, but we got them too. But anyway, it was a long trip, and I was so glad when we hit down below. Then we had to load up everything, and we went aboard ship. And we go aboard ship, in the States, the guys that say, "How many in your outfit?" The guy said, "There's 4 of us left, machine guns in the 5th Marines, There's only 4 guys left." Another one says, 5 guys. Well, my platoon, there's 42 of us that went up in there. 17 of us, 11 of us walked out. The rest of them were frostbite, and we lost a few, but lost a lot of friends, and I never want to. I know what people went from the Vietnam. Then some of my friends stayed and went to Vietnam, and I've talked to them at some of the reunions, and he says about 6 1/2 dozen. Over there was cold, and there was hot.
Yeah.
Out in the rainforest and rain, wading in rice paddies. I'm glad I went the other way. I don't care.
Oh boy! So you guys got down to the coast and then boarded ship. And where'd you go there once you boarded ship?
Back to Pusan.
Pusan.
We were back around Pusan. A place called the Bean Field. That's what they called it. That's where we all licking our wounds. And I ended up in the hospital.
That's where you went in the hospital.
Yeah, I was in the hospital with pneumonia. And finally got out of the hospital and went back to my outfit. And I was Sergeant then, so I was a squad leader then. And my friend that had been shot in the stomach, we call it gut shot, but he could have went home, but he was like me. I could have went home too, but they said either go to Hawaii or go home. I said I want to go back to my outfit.
Wow.
So I wanted to come home together. So he did too. So him and I and another buddy of mine, we all 3 come home together. And but he went to Great Lakes in a guard outfit. The other went to Quantico, and I went to Buford.
Well, now, when you were recovering down there and were recovered, did you guys go back and see more action, or
yeah. I went to spring offensive.
Oh, yeah.
We when they got everything straightened out, they decided they were going to push it back over. So yeah, we had the spring offensive. That's why I wear the Silver Star for Korea, because 5 campaigns, and yeah, we pushed them over, set up that demilitarized zone, and then they flew us home. I was on the second draft, come home.
So you just casually mentioned the Silver Star. You got to talk about that. How did do?
Well, it seemed like when the spring offensive, everything kind of seemed different. You know, it wasn't. We didn't get the resistance that we got. They were on the run. You know, we were pushing them. You know, the Chinese finally pulled everything out. If they wouldn't have been pulled in, we'd have had all of Korea there. We'd have had the whole thing, because we were only 60 miles from the border.
Yeah.
And but the Chinese are different type people, because I had a friend of mine that was in the Army, and he was up there too, but he had three buddies of his that they were captured. They spent 33 months up in China, or I can't think of the name of the place, but he said they treated him like, he said if they wouldn't have found him, they'd have been dead. One of us got shot, another shot, his leg was dangling off, and I don't know what the other was. But they took him back there and healed him up. He spent 33 months, and he says they treated you, had meals, and when they had the exchange, they got to come back. But Japanese, they're tortured. They like to torture. And in Vietnam, they're torture people, you know, and we don't dare. We don't. We've been accused of a few things, but it's not the type. I mean, we've got a lot. They give up and surrender, you know. We just bring them in and turn them over to the MP. They had a camp. They kept them off the island out there. And I guess we had about 4,000 of the prisoners from South Korea, or North Korea, and Chinese in that island out there off
right.
I can't think of the name of the island, but the Army had that. But full of them. But they got meals every day, clothes, you know. But it's a different type, you know. No torture there. Chinese aren't much on for torture. Japanese are.
Yeah. During your time there, did you have much interaction with the local natives, the local Koreans?
You know, not too much. You know, matter of fact, you ever see the movie MASH? Mm-hmm. You remember that Oriental was always coming around, had watches and stuff hanging on him? He was in Korea. He's was in the 7th Marines, or he was in the Army, and I went to a reunion, and over in Minneapolis, and the guy sitting there, he said, guy sitting up there, and I looked, and I said, yeah. He said, you know who that is? I said, no. He told me his name. He said, he was in MASH. He's the one that come around with all that stuff and thing. So I went and took his picture, you know, down there. And he was in the Army over in Korea. So
wow.
It's kind of funny.
So you recuperate. You're up in the spring offensive, and then how much longer were you up there before you finally returned home? And did we ever tell an armistice?
I can't remember the exact date, but we pushed them over the line, and then we were all set up a perimeter, and we were more just guard duty guys, because they didn't want to come over too bad. They wanted to go the other way,
yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever read that story, but we brought more refugees out when we come out of the reservoir, something like 800,000, and they come down to, and I guess to this day, I guess only about 30 of them went back over the border when they had a chance. But yeah, we had a ship full of them. This tape shows them, you know, just packed body to body. But they wanted to get out of there. They kept following us out, you know, and we kept telling them, you know, because the Chinese would shoot them too, you know. It was they tried to get out with us, you know, and we'd make them stay back, you know. We had an interpreter tell them, you know, stay back, we're going to blow this, we don't want you around. But another little story is when we left the reservoir up there, we took all of our supplies and pushed them in a big pile, but we had 2 500-pound bombs. Corsairs had landed, and they were short on fuel, and they knew if they couldn't get up with those bombs, So they drop them, we wheel them up to the side, so they would come back, get them, but we'd never come back. But we pushed them into a pile. We had a pile of probably 30 feet around, 50 feet tall, just nothing but food, cans of stuff. It was packed full, and then we put kerosene or diesel fuel over the top of it, and had it all loaded with dynamite underneath. We had a wad of timer cord that big around out, and then we got ready to go. I think it was on the 8th of December. I'm not sure of the date, but we everybody was gone except about 4 trucks and our Jeep. And the Chinese, you could see them on the hills up there. They were just waiting, and so when they told us, so we lit the fuse on the thing there, and we give it a 20-minute fuse, and we took off. And when you went out of the place, there was a big mountain. You went around it. We got around it, and then we stopped. We could about a half mile back up to that thing, and them Chinese were out there. There must have been 1,000 of them around there grabbing cans out of the thing when it went off. And I mean, I thought it was an atomic bomb when that thing went off. Honest to God, it had stuff went half a mile up in the air. Where we were at, cans were landing by us. And we were a half mile away. And the story was, I don't know if it's true or not, one guy says that he looked and here come a head rolling down the road. I don't know if the story's true or not, but I didn't see any mine. A couple of cans lit down by us, but we took off and left and headed on down. We got down to Coda Reed, and Chesty Puller was there with his troops. He fell in with us and made it a little more easier on us and on the way down. But I was sure glad we got out at the bottom. I lost my outfit and I went and looked for them.
What was it like during that period of time when you were up at the Chosin? I mean, did you think you were going to make it, or were you ever worried about that? I mean, what was going through your mind?
I worried a little bit about it. Yeah. You know, it's not. I tried to keep it out of my head. I had a friend of mine who was with me, you know, and he's a pretty religious guy, you know, and he kept saying, he'll help you, you know, just keep it rolling, you know, don't. I had a couple guys, I mean, I didn't know them, but they shot themselves, you know, they didn't.
Yeah, sure.
But, I mean, that's the coward's way out, I always say. Yeah. But different people for different strokes, I guess. But, yeah, I was glad when I got aboard that ship, and
that must have been
I had a dish of ice cream. Never had ice cream for so goddamn long, or anything decent, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of them had scurvy, you know, and around my ankles, they had to do a lot of digging. Because yeah, I don't grow any hair on my legs because the circulation was the best in them. But I'm still here, and I can think about it, and I just kind of wake up sometimes at night, not so much anymore, but thinking about what some of them other guys because all my friends are gone now.
Yeah.
And my last one passed away 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Wow.
But 4 of us run around together, and I bought jackets for all of them, called the Chosin Few in the back in November 1950. And anyway, they all had them, but I'm the only jacket left.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
wow.
They're all gone.
Wow. So once you got out of the service, did you have, you know, what we call today PTSD, nightmares, anything like that?
That was a lot of questions was asked me that. You know, I got out of the service and I started to work. My wife was pregnant and she had twin girls, and so I went to work for Rockwell-Collins. It was called Collins Radio at the time. I worked a night shift, and good job. I thought it was good pay, but it wasn't too big. But as of now, you know, but I stayed there and on nights for 16 years. But I worked up. I was a chief union steward and the thing there. But then I had a chance to go on days working for a buddy of mine. So I took that job, and then my wife started to work. I wouldn't let her work until we worked the same shift together, because I see people, he works days, she works nights.
Yeah.
She has her friends, he has his friends.
Yeah.
They ain't long there.
Yeah.
But anyway, she started to work. The girls are all grown, and she's in school, full time in school, so she worked there, and she worked for 21 years. I worked for 36, and got everybody in our family. My daughter Jill, she passed away here out back. She was 39 when she passed away, but she had dementias, and she worked there 43 years. And my other daughter, the twin, Jackie, she worked there 12 years, I think. She died. She drank, smoked, and wouldn't quit. And the other one had dementias, and I lost 2 of my 4 girls.
Oh, boy.
And they're just 2. One of the twins and Janice. You know Janice. That's Janice. She's my wife used to call her our wild child. And, but yeah, I thought a lot when I got out. I was going to ship over, but then I just passed my staff sergeant check thing, but they wouldn't give it to me unless I shipped over or went to reserves, and I just wasn't ready for that. So I got out, and I had a year to make up my mind, but I had a good job, and I liked my job, and so I stayed out.
So there was no, was there ever a thought of making it a career at all, or?
No, I didn't thought. The reserves then was like, well, I went and looked at it, the Waterloo had a reserve outfit, but they met on Wednesday night, and I worked at nights, and the pay wasn't the difference, so I did get it, and but then my brother went in the Marines, and he spent 4 years, and then my other brother, he went in the Air Force. He spent 5 years in the Air Force, but his son went in the Army. His son spent 27 years, and he sent me a book one time, and he says, Uncle Buck, he says, I can see why you had a bad taste in your mouth for the Army. He sent me this book called Breakout. I don't know if you ever heard of it. If you ever get a chance, find that book, Breakout. It tells you what happened up there in the reservoir, and I hate to say it, but what the Army did to us, We put them on a flank. 10 minutes later, 50 minutes, they were gone. They left our flanks open. They had no command. Nobody wanted to be in command. There's about 1,700 of them up there too. We got them out. They were up in Death Valley. They were about wiping them out. Lost about 50% of the guys, but we got them out. And they were going to leave. They're dead and wounded. And I said, oh no, we don't leave nobody. One guy said, we don't have room for them. We make room. One guy was driving a truck, and I said, get your ass out of that truck. This guy's only got a bad arm. He can drive that truck. He said, what am I supposed to do? Walk like the rest of us. But they didn't think too much of me when I left there. But I'm the old saying, you don't leave nobody behind. But sometimes it's...
Well, can you describe to us, for people like myself and those that will watch this video that have never been in war, what it's like to be in war? I can't imagine what it's like to be in the thick of a battle. And
some guys, we had on this tape there, it bothered them. Some guys, they started drinking, He was with Weapons Company, 5th Marines, Those guys took a hell of a beating. They were, if it wouldn't have been for the machine guns that they had about 4 of them, and they were cutting them down like you can't believe. And I think it got to a lot of them, knowing that they killed so many, and I was fortunate, I never was on a gun. Well, I was on a gun one night, but nothing come in, and so I was I had a fire team, and so they moved us around and sent us someplace else. Well, then they wanted us to take what they called East Hill there, and I had a lieutenant, Ganzona, So we took it. We were about about a third of the way up, and there was we was getting a lot of resistance. The Chrysler machine gun that's over here, all over here, and they were firing over our head. We knew if we get any farther, you know, and finally they told us we better come back. But we could see where I lay. I could look back down at the railroad tracks, were way down there, and they had 105 set up on the railroad track, and you could watch all at once. You see a puff of smoke. So you could hear it go over here, wah, 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 over your head. It'd go off above there and you'd duck because pieces of dirt and shit would fly down. So they called us off and back off, and then 2 days later they sent other guys up to East Hill. They didn't make it either, and they had to pull them back off. But it was of course, if it would have been for air support, I don't know if you ever seen the logo for the Chosin Few.
That star, kind of a star.
Yeah. Well, that meant we were socked in so tight, and we couldn't get air support in, and we were getting the heck knocked out of us. Chinese were coming from all sides. Anyway, that night about, I don't know what time it was, it seemed like the clouds separated like that, and we could hear them. Here they come. They come in and just knock the hell out of them up there. But that's the only thing that saved us, I'm pretty sure, because the Chinese were all over the place. They dropped napalm, white phosphorus, and I guess they can't use that anymore. It against the what do they call it?
Geneva Convention.
Geneva Convention. You can't use that white phosphorus or napalm, you know.
Well, now, when you were there, did you guys have any idea how outnumbered you were, or did you find that out later? When you were actually at the reservoir, did you have any idea just how outnumbered you were at that point, or did you find that out later that you were outnumbered? Or
well, we found out later. I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what our future was when we got in the reservoir. We knew that MacArthur wanted us to go on, but I think our general, Smith, he said he wants us to hold up there because we had lost quite a few coming up, you know. And then that's when Harry came over and took him out and put him Ridgeway. Then everything changed.
Yeah,
and, that's when they ordered us, pulled us back, you know. No use to lose. Because the Chinese actually was supposed to annihilate the 1st Marine Division to the last man. It was on the paper back home, you know. And when that's all happened, this guy made up a little song, you know, it's like, it goes like, from the shores of Montezuma to the halls of Tripoli, we'll police our goddamn Navy just as long as it's at sea. First to fight the Army's battles and to win the Navy's fight, but still that old Harry tries to louse up all our rights. Our flag's been flown from every ship since the Navy's had its start. A Marine detachment in its fix kept the fleet from falling apart. So if the Army and the Navy ever looks on heaven's scenes, they'll see the streets are guarded by the United States Marines. I learned it 74 years ago. I never forgot it.
Wow.
Some guy wrote it up there.
I'll be darned, yeah. Was anybody ever held responsible? Because it was a case of poor intelligence that you...
Well, they say that... what was the name of the company that was over there? American company that got hit right off the bat. I guess that's the only reason they went in there. I can't think of the name of the company was in there, but it's the only reason there. But you know, you look at everything at Vietnam. We had no right over there.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't attack us. You know, and it just that. How was it? The United States, they're a bunch of good old boys, you know. But it's not the people. It comes out of Washington D.C. They're the ones that decide all this, you know. And same way as in Korea, there was we had troops in Korea. Still had Second World War. People were there, and they were getting killed when the North Koreans came down. And I could kind of see why we went in there. Well, Harry thought we'd just go in and squish it and be over with. He didn't realize that we had it pretty well until Chinese come in. That's when it really was a many people, every place you look.
Yeah.
We were fortunate they had no air supplies, and the biggest gun they had was a 40 millimeter, and they carried it in, and everything come in packed back, and they had Mongolian ponies that brought all their supplies in,
Wow.
and but they were good fighters, you know. They didn't give up, but some of them we found them froze to death. They sat in their hole too long, and their clothes were. Some of them didn't even have gloves, you know. They had wrapped their feet, the legs all wrapped, and I felt sorry for them, but
Yeah.
they'd shoot you just as well as you'd shoot them.
Right.
So, but other than that, something I'll never forget. I wouldn't want to go through it again.
Yeah, sure. Oh, no
And,
doubt. Well, now, how is it for you now, through the years on cold winter days? How are you with the winter? If it was me, I think when I got back to the States, I would have moved to Florida or something and never touched cold weather again.
Well, I moved up, we had cold weather in Iowa.
Yeah.
But then I moved up to Wisconsin.
Oh, jeez.
I was up there for 33 months, and years, 33 years up there. It got cold up there, 25, 30 below, but the secret is there, you don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
I'd go out, with dress for it. I'd go ice fishing,
Yeah.
at a shack, but you didn't think too much about. I told somebody, I said, they were talking about, I said, you don't know what cold weather is. I said, when you're out with 40 below zero and the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour, I told somebody, you believe this or not, but I went to the warm-up tent. They had a tent, warm-up tent, and they had a water wagon. I took my 2 canteens, I carried 2, I filled them up full of water, put them on. I walked probably from here, I crossed the street a little further to where we were bivouacked. They got over there, took the cap off one, had to break the ice. That far. So the gooks over there, or gooks, the North Koreans, their canteens would rattle. They had, I don't know what they call it. I said, we smell it, but you didn't want to drink it.
Yeah.
It didn't freeze, but it was. I think half of it was juiced up when they were coming in. Some of them attacks, It was the first 2 ranks had guns. Third rank didn't have any. They picked up the other guns. Come on. I bet we had a stack of Japanese 25 fill this room. After a fight.
Wow.
They had burp guns, and there's I'll show you a picture of one of the guns I got off of one of the guys. It's a Sub Thompson.
Ah, right.
Made in America, but I got it off a gook.
Wow.
But that's about the only thing I brought back. Well, I couldn't bring them back. You couldn't bring anything that belonged to America. Any American runs. You could bring the Japanese. I didn't want other guns.
Yeah.
Swords. When we went into Seoul, they had a museum there, and it's full of no, it wasn't. It's Seoul. Anyway, what it was, Japan used to have have all of Korea. In 1948, that's when they separated the North and the South. Well, then I guess it was in Seoul. They had a room, we opened it up, and it was nothing but swords. The guys wore swords. The thing was full of, everybody had swords. And I had 4 or 5 with them. We get aboard ship or get with the Army or the Air Force over there. They buy that from us, And I laughed. We were aboard ship, we were fueling up, and the ship alongside of us, and my buddy, when sailor hollered, "You got any swords?" Because he heard about it. My buddy said, "Yeah, I got one." And he says, "How much you want for it?" I don't know. He said, "I don't know what I want for it, I don't know what's the come down price anyway." So he says, you throw the money and I'll throw you. We were probably from here to that wall from the ship.
Oh, okay.
And so he said, well, so he pulled it up like this and showed it about this much of a sword on the scabbard, you know. So they changed the money and he took the sword, threw it over, the guy caught it, you know, and they were untied, getting ready to leave, you know, the ship was. And he pulled it, it broke off. He only got that much of the sword. That sailor was just screaming, and want my money back. But that was kind of funny. Just one of the laughs of the day. But I had a Jeep, or truck, I guess it was, truck, and we sold it. And there's a cigarette lighter. We sold this truck to the Inchon transit line. I think we got $300 for it. Then we sold a motorcycle to the guys at the airport up there at the airfield, and for, I don't know, a couple $100. And our lieutenant took the money. He says, what I'll do when this war's over, he says, we'll go buy something for everybody that's left, you know. So I didn't think too much about it. Well, I was at Quantico, and I just fired on the range, and I run into one of my other buddies that was in our outfit, and he was up to the shipyard, and just happened that my Lieutenant Canzona, he was up there too. He was a major then, and he wanted looking for me to find my address. So I gave him my address. He took it back with him. About a month later, I got a package, and the cigarette lighter was in it. He bought everybody a cigarette lighter, and put the date and everything on it on the thing there. So, well, I was smoking at the time, so I used it. And then pretty soon I quit smoking, and the damn thing wore out. And so I thought, well, so I found the address of Bronson, and I wrote them, and they said, well, send it in. So I boxed it up and sent it in. The thing wouldn't work, you know. I sent it in. About a month later, I got it back, and I quit smoking in the meantime. So this lighter has never been lit.
Oh, wow.
But I still got it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I don't know how many guys left in their outfits that's got their lighter.
Yeah.
But that's my memento for from our platoon. I was in first platoon. But A Company First Engineers, first platoon. Our lieutenant was Lieutenant Nicholas A. Canzona. He's a pretty good A.
Now, to this day, whenever you see a Tootsie Roll, does that take you back? Does that remind you of that time at all? The Tootsie?
A little bit. You know.
Does it? Yeah.
I had a chance to go back to Korea.
Yeah.
Paid for it and everything.
Oh, right.
But my wife, she didn't like to fly.
Yeah.
So I talked to my buddy, Carl Johnson's his name. He stayed in. He retired as a captain. But anyway, he says, did you go on that trip over there? I said, no, my wife didn't like to fly. He said, well, Ann didn't either, so I didn't go. He said, if I'd known that, I'd give you a call, and him and I would have went. Because we were in the same platoon together, you know, same squad. Yeah, C.O. Johnson was his name. As far as I know, he's still alive, I don't know. But he's lived in Holland, Michigan, and then he goes down to Louisiana in the summertime. He lost his wife, I know, but I don't know about him. But
and you said through the years you guys would have reunions. Would it be?
No, they still have one. Our first reunion was with the brigade, First Provision Marine Brigade. We had that reunion with them, but then they got too much for the guy to organize it, and nobody else wanted to take over. So we all joined the Chosin Few. So I went to 3 Chosin Few. Last one was over in Minneapolis, and that's when I met that Oriental over there. But I haven't been able to go to any more. I think there's one in Washington D.C. I got a letter now. I don't know where it's at, but it telling that they're having a reunion. But I know last time it was down to 900 of us, and I don't know what it is. I got a book down here blue book that shows that everybody that was in it's the Chosin Few, was in the reservoir, is in that book. And I went through and I found my name with engineering in there, and my buddy McMahon, he's gone. He's the one just passed away. But other than that, that's my memories. Is in this one girl, this one lady, friend of mine up in Wisconsin. When my wife passed away, she was a service officer, and she kind of helped me through my rough spots. And then I had a little problem with, I had a torn bladder, and spent about quite a little time in the hospital back and forth. She took me wherever I had to go, and we become real good friends. She spent 14 years in the Navy, and then she spent, 16 years in the Navy. Then she spent 4 years in civil service to get her 20 years in. And she's retired out of the Navy, and she's not with the anymore. She does a lot of stuff with the service. She was in helicopters.
Yeah.
She spent 6 months up in the Antarctic, and she said, talk about cold.
Yeah. That's something in common there.
And she said there was a house for your bathrooms, shower, you eat, you slept all different places, and it was probably 30 feet in between. And he says you didn't waste any time getting over it. But you ever remember that plane that crashed up there in the Arctic, Antarctic? Well, it's probably been 25 years ago or more. But anyways, when she was stationed there, they dug it out. She got pictures of them digging that thing out of the snow. It hadn't run for 20-some years. They got it all dug out and had lost an engine. They pulled that engine out and flew in another engine. And she was standing out on the thing there watching it first. It took off. It left there. Been in that snow for over 20 years.
Wow.
Covered up in the Antarctic. But she was quite a girl. Her name was, and anyway, she's was out here last year to visit me. Her and her boyfriend, and on their way home, they hit a deer up in Dakota. Totaled out her car on the thing there, but.
Well, let's talk a little bit about family. How did you meet your wife, and tell us that story and how you wooed her? And
well, my wife was stationed there in Quantico. She was a corps wave in the Navy, and we used to have a little tavern down at the end where they come out to the street, and when we come out from the dock, the little tavern there. We used to go up there and have a few beers, and her and the girls were too. I met her down there. We just talking, Well, then my buddy liked her girlfriend, so he asked her for a date, She said, well, see if you can find a date for Pat, so I don't want to go alone, So he came in the barracks, and he asked one guy, the guy didn't have any money. So he said, how about you? I said, well, I got $10. And he said, you want to go? I said, yeah, I'll go along with you. So I went, and she was my blind date.
oh, wow.
I'm married to her for 66 years. Yeah, she was a hospitalman third. And we had a good times together.
Yeah.
We raised 4 girls. Yeah, that's my company there. And
yeah. And then, so 4 girls. How many grandchildren, great-grandchildren?
I got 9 grandkids and 19 great-grandkids.
19.
And 1 great-great-granddaughter. There are 5 generations.
Yeah, we'll dig out pictures here in a minute when we finish up the interview. I guess as we getting towards the end of this interview, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about, or any stories that kind of floated to the top that as we've been sitting here that you've talked about? And I know we probably only got the tip of the iceberg of your story, but anything else we can add to round out your story, or do you think we covered pretty much everything?
Oh, we covered pretty much. And then after my wife passed away, I stayed up there for probably 2-3 months. I was going to come out, but Janice wanted me to come out here, and because I had my other daughter passed away up there, so I had none of my relatives up there, and the only one was here. They want, well, you're gonna move back to Monticello, where I was originally from. I said, no, all them people are dead, you know. They do. So I said, well, I'll think about it. Well, then I had that siege with my bladder. I spent about 4 hospitals getting that straightened out, and they finally went up and cauterized it all and got me shut down. And so I told Janice, I said, well, see if you can find me a place, you know. So they found me. I went across the road over here, and on December 4th, I went in there in 2002. Yeah, 21 or 22. Anyway, I've been, it'll be 2 years in December I've been out here. And I liked it over there. They had it was an apartment. It wasn't a room, it was an apartment. But then I fell over to Janet's house and broke my pelvic. And that kind of eliminated me. And so I was climbing in the hospital and rehabilitation, and they wouldn't let me back over there because I couldn't get to the places back and forth. So I come over here, and they put me in 105, and I was here for, I think, what, 3 months, and my heart took off, and kept going scary, you know. So they took me back to the hospital and got that settled down, and so then they brought me back, and to a room upstairs, and I was there for about a month or two, and then I had a real bad pain in my side, and so I went to the hospital, found out that my appendix had ruptured, and so they sent me to the hospital there, and cut me open, and they took about that much of my colon out and put it back together. Then they found a tumor in there that was, so they removed all that, took that all out, sent everything to pathology, and it come back cancer free. So I felt good about that. And then they sold me up on the cut here, up to here, and then that wasn't bad enough. They put a pacemaker in. They got a pacemaker, it was across here. So I said, I'm almost bionic, you know.
Yeah, right.
My feet,
Yeah.
my bowel, and well, besides that, well, I had prostate cancer, and I had 45 radiations, and it knocked out both hips. This is replaced. This is held together 3 screws. So I said, but I'm still checking along.
Yeah, sure are. Wow.
Yeah, I'll be 94, and hope to see 95, but I guess it's not up to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
When he wants me, I'll have to go, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But my wife was cremated, and I just told the kids I want to cremate it too, and spring half our ashes up at Flambeau. It's been 33 years, and the rest in Monticello, where my home was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't. Well, I'm going. I don't care. They can throw in the river probably. But I'm sure they will honor my request anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to go right away. I like to stick around,
Sure.
torture some more people. You know, I have a good time here. Everybody, I get along good with everybody. All the girls, they like me. I guess because I talk too much. I guess I don't know. But I told the one lady that runs the place in there. I said, "Well, I'm going to have to move. You know, that's when I was upstairs." So you're not leaving here. I tell you that now. You're not leaving. Why? I said, I don't like that long walk. But they give me a ride back down. I had to use my feet to get back, you know. And it was starting to tell on me a little bit. And so this room opened up, and I got this room.
Oh, good.
And I love it, man. It's got plenty of room. And
Yeah.
I told the one lady, I said, well, this is probably my room for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
Oh, good.
I just hope that things keep moving along, and I can hang in for another year or so.
Yeah.
I go to the Golden Corral.
The breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast, and there's a lot of guys. Most of them are Vietnam and Desert Storm, and I don't think there's very many Korean. I'm probably the only Chosin Few.
Oh, you are? I know you are, yeah.
Over there, you know. But I kind of laughed, but this young guy said, but he was in Korea. And I said, oh, you what? When were you? Well, I can't remember. I said, how old are you? He was 81. I said, I don't think so. I said, I was young when I went over, and I was 94. I said, you better find another country to tell your story to. You know, he's going to tell me that. I said, maybe your grandpa was. But up in Fresno, there was nobody. Two guys up there was in Korea. One was in 53, and the other was in there 54. They were in the army. They just as they still have troops over there in Korea. My grandson or nephew, he spent a year over there in Korea. He was a tanker out of Fort Hood, but he spent 27 years in the army. But he's been in four. Well, he was in Desert Storm. He was in Iraq, Afghanistan, and back in Korea. He's been in all these 27 years. He called me the other day and he said, you know, Uncle Buck, he says, you and I are the only ones that have ever been in combat. Nobody else in the family has ever been in combat. My brother wasn't. He was over in the Philippines for a year, you know. And John, he spent most of his time in Texas and then his last year up in Alaska. But when he was up there, it wasn't the States yet. It was still a territory. But he's gone.
Well, how do you feel? I mean, you guys, you Korean War veterans are often called the forgotten veterans. I mean, it
is, you know.
You know, how do you feel about that?
Not worth a crap, but I think everything seemed to be Vietnam. Now it's Desert Storm. And I asked somebody, I said, did you ever hear of the Korean War? No. I said, I asked a lot of these young ones, you ever hear of the Korean? No. Well, I never heard of Korea until they told us we're going to Korea. I said, where's Korea? He said, it's over by China. So, yeah, I had some of my guys, two of the guys that I graduated with boot camp, they went to China when that's when they were still in there. They took Chiang Kai-shek over to Formosa.
Oh, okay.
And when they went on to Guam, and he come back to Alpha on Guam. I was due to go to Guam, but I ended up in Korea.
other extreme end of the weather, huh?
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just thankful to the old Lord that He's left me here as long as He has.
Yeah.
But,
well, the last question, Buck, I always like to ask with these interviews, when you look back on that time in Korea, and particularly up on the reservoir, did it change your life, play a role in your life, affect your life, or was it just simply a chapter in your life?
I think it changed my life.
Yeah, in what ways?
Well, I grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
I told everybody, I went in the Marine Corps when I was 17, got out when I was 22. I grew up in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Most of the thing I learned to take orders, and I learned respect. You got to expect your officers. You might not like him, but you respect his rank.
Yeah.
I learned respect, and I kind of keep a. When I first back to work there, I worked at Collins. And there were a couple guys there in the Second World War, and we didn't talk too much about it, because the rest of us didn't even know what I was talking about, Couldn't really talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I never talked to anybody.
Sure.
I went to I think it was my first or second reunion, and we were sitting out by the pool one night after supper. There was about 8 or 9 of us sitting around, and the guy sitting next to me, he says, do you remember nights there? And I said, what do you mean? When we used to smell them guys? And I said, yeah, smell them, then you'd hear them, and pretty soon you would see them. You could, at night, you could sit there in your hole, you could smell them. Garlic, they live garlic, you know. And they try to sneak up at night, you know, and that's what I did. I would put minefields out, but only once my minefield went off one night. I thought, oh Jesus, flares going off. About 8 deer run through our field and chipped all that stuff. We got deer meat from then on. But that's the only time I ever tripped it. I used to use hand grenades, tape them to a tree, you know, and then run a wire across and everything. I never got anybody on that either. But it still was there if they come through there, you know. But yeah, I got your pictures. I'll show you the pictures that show. Somebody said, "What are you doing? Making firewood?" And I said, "No. You look at it a little longer. There's wire around the ends of the posts. You put your flare. You bury your mine. Just leave the top part of it out, and then you go out a ways. Then you drive a stake down, and on that stake you had wire, and you unwind the wire back to your mine, and it had a ring on it, on the side. You take and wrap it around it, and then you go back and tighten it up on the stake, and then push the rest of the way down. And then you go back and there's a little reel on the back side of it. You turn that real slow, and there's a pin in there. And as soon as you got it up, take the pin out. Then it was armed. Then you take the pin, you lay it right down alongside the mine. And then you go to bouncing Betty, then you go to trip flare and do the same thing. Well, then the next morning you come back and take that pin and hope it would go down. If it didn't go down, you just took all that reel and give it just a little bit, and then, well, once that dropped in.
That's dangerous work.
It was, really. They called us crazy, but that was our job. So we did her, but then after a while they called it off because it never went through. It rested our lives, but like Colonel Murray was the colonel in charge of 5th Marine. He said, because of you guys, we can sleep better, you know, but how about us?
Yeah.
Wow. But we still didn't know. I've probably done it probably 6 times, but I think it was 6 times I pressed my luck, but seemed to work.
Wow.
We all did. I had a little friend, Obie O'Brien, from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Obie was the only private in our whole company, only private. But he'd been in the Marine Corps for 6 years. But one of those kind of guys that get drunk and he's a little guy, but tough little fart, you know. But if you wanted somebody with you, you're in trouble. Obie was the guy to be. I got a picture of him right here. I'll show you.
Wow.
But yeah, it changed my life a little bit, but it made me realize what living really is all about, you know. And I done too much living at first when I got out.
Well, you deserve that.
No, I deserved it, I told him. I bought a car and I stayed at home. I had 60 days leave time coming, you know, and I had money in the bank, and my mom bought the car for me. She drove it till I got back home, and then I drove it, but then I wrecked it down in South Carolina. I rolled it down there, so it was kind of, it wasn't that I was drunk or nothing. We were out to eat, and I was on the way home, and the radio on the thing was one of those down and anyway, you had to reach down and turn it down, and I had the guy sitting in the front seat and a pair of people in the back seat, and I coming to make the corner, and I reached down, was turning that thing, and the road turned, and I gave her a pull, and I dropped off the side of the road, sand was deep, skidded on that thing. I couldn't get up, and it hit me. It's so funny, the back door flew open, those two fell out of the back seat, and the guy in the front seat, when they made his turn, I guess, he fell out. and I was still in when it landed on the top down there. They came walking down the road, and my car was upside down in the water, and we just happened a car come by, and we caught a ride into town. I went to the sheriff, and then I caught a bus back to the base, and he sent a record out and bought my car, and I bought another one then when I was there from him. So, but that old Chevy, or it was a Dodge, was that was my experience. I told him, I said, Jesus Christ, I went through all Korea, and I don't want to get wiped out in a car. But I did it. I made it all right.
Yeah. Well, Buck, I want to thank you for sitting down this afternoon to tell your story, but just as important, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. You're welcome. Down at San Diego, it was Platoon 103, 1949. We graduated.
And any idea where you are in that picture?
I'm over here,
Okay.
second row. Young buck. This is Quantico, when I was at Quantico, Virginia, still troop. I was down in the post dock taking officers for boat rides.
And where are you in that picture? Do you remember?
Yeah, back row here.
Okay.
Guy with my hat up. This is the company engineers where I was stationed in Pendleton. This is the outfit I went to Korea with. Some of the guys left, but I'm right over here by the window. It's 1949. This is 50. We went in 50.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys from all over. All the way. This is a buddy of mine picking up the sides on the thing that was getting ready to build a bridge, and he's pushing the old dirt up over there. The bridges on the other side, they're all blown out. This is a bunch of guys walking down the road. We're moving from one outfit to another. I'm not with them. I'm in a truck that's going the other way on the thing there. So this is some of my friends who are down along the old dike there, just kind of goofing off that day and taking life easy. And I hollered at them, told them, look up. And so that's why I got a picture of them.
So you had a camera over there? You carried a camera with you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This was taken, they think I was making wood, but that was winding strings around trip floor stuff. Kept me busy there, getting them up for the night. So that's what I'm doing there.
Mm.
This is my best friend, Ted Eckelman. We're on the beach here in California, enjoying the sunlight.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you, when you were in Korea, did you ever have an R&R? Did you ever get over to Japan? No?
No.
Boy.
We pull us off the line for 2 weeks. We get something to eat and change your clothes and
That was your
back on it
vacation.
again.
Oh.
Army had R&R, we don't. Well, here we are 50 years later. We met at Washington, D.C. So we both changed a little bit. We stole our life. We both were demolition guys, and he was with the 5th Marines Weapons Company, and I was with engineering. But we're Pendleton together, and but he went to school and come out of that. This is one of the gooks, we call them.
Yeah.
Chopping down the road.
Well, every time I interview a Korean War veteran, they always talk about the honey pots.
Oh yeah, you'll see it on there. This is a bridge that the guy on the cat was pushing up, getting ready to build a new one. We built a barrel bridge, and I got pictures of it too somewhere.
This is up at the Chosin?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, this is before the Chosin.
Okay.
This is crossing the Han River, going into Seoul, on our way to take Seoul, and it was quite an experience that night. Our tank, our one lost his motor on the way out. We had to practically swim out.
Wow.
On that, but we made it. Got set up over there. This is what the back of one of their little homes lived back there. They were not much for comfort, but I guess they lived it. They lived in it for forever. So, this is the mama's on down doing the washing. That's the way they done their washing. They use a rock and pound on it and get it all ready. And sometimes the guys would have moisture clothes. I never did, but never, I wore all my clothes. This is one of the lookouts we were at one night and looking down at the village. And it's kind of keep an eye out. And we were on the other side, so we could tell if there was anything coming, see it from up there. Relieving. That's me. I was down going to the bathroom with somebody trying to get smart, take a picture of me. But that was quite a few years ago. This is called the Red Devil outfit. They're mounted 155s, and they can be rolled along, pull up, and start firing. They can fire 5 rounds. They can shake the ground too around them, but we always like to have them around. Just a picture of me. I just got out of the hospital. I'm cleaned up. I got clean clothes, clean shaven, and I said I felt pretty good on that day.
I'll bet.
This is deer hunting. He shot that with a 50 caliber machine gun there. He was running down the road and nailed him, and they wouldn't let us eat him though.
Oh, no?
We wouldn't let us. They said it's a no-no. This is one of our guys holding a little class with the kids. They always gather around us when we stop someplace, and they want to. Well, we always want the goodies. You know, we'd give them candy bars, and one kid said he give him a cigarette and he ate it. So they didn't know what it was. There I am with Jim McMinn, a friend of mine. We were buddies, pretty close buddies. I just lost him here a while back, but yeah, that's Jim and I. We kind of had a picture taken. This is Tom Sanders in Frenchyville, Moretti. Big Tom, Texas. He's from Texas. This guy's from Louisiana, and he was a character that nobody messed with him. Though. About 6'5" and weighed about 240.
Ooh.
One of the guys showing off with his didn't have nothing else to do, so he likes to be a clown. So he was a clown that day, but he good friend. These are 2 Koreans that we had with us. We call them Ace and Deuce. They worked for the cooks. When the cooks went anywhere, those 2 went. They were really sad when we left, though. They didn't know what they were going to do, but they made sure that they had a job after we left. There's a couple more of my friends that were over there in Korea with me. That's a friend of mine. He got hit pretty bad up in the reservoir, but he's back. I saw him at one of our reunions, and he got a few scars, but pretty good egg. This is what it looked like at night when when it's your job on the gun. You sit behind that gun for hope to God nothing comes around, but if it does, you're ready for it. Wow. This is on Wobido Island, just off Inchon. We took the island, and guys come back and made a little home out of one that Gooks had already dug it out, made it quite a place out of it. So they're living in it right now. But we had to get off the island later. This is what we call peak hole. Stop along the road, and if you look, the guys are relieving themselves on there. You're riding them trucks long enough, and
yeah.
Here's one of the guys in my outfit. Him and I were making stakes for flares, trip flares, and chopped up wood and wrap wire around it, and wait for them to give you a call to go out and lay them out. Here's a bunch of guys from our outfit in the back of a truck trying to keep warm. That's the stove there, but it wasn't lit. They just showing off. Here's a helicopter that come in, and he's the one that took us up to the lookout look onto that village, because it took almost 2 hours to walk up.
Wow.
But this is Big Tom and Laverne Wells. You can see he's a little guy. Laverne's about 6 foot. But this picture here, we just arrived in Korea. We're down in Pusan. That's on the dock. We just unloaded right there. That's
wow.
Probably 1st of November or 1st of August 1950. This is landing up on when we landed up in North Korea. We were just set up there, and they come around and says, Bob Hope's coming into town. You want to go see him? And so I grabbed a bunch of the guys and took a recon, and we went to Bob Hope.
Oh, really?
Got to see Bob Hope.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The band of renown. He had Les Brown, the band of renown, with him. That's the bridge that the cat was cleaning up. That's the barrel bridge we put in to get across the river. This is their Air Force, shot down at Kimpo Airfield. This is the convoy we're leaving. I don't know where we're going, but that's the truck that we come in on. I drove it in, but I got out and then I had another kid drive it in. This is me in my winter outfit.
Winter outfit.
And so that was the way we dressed over in the winter time. I had this is a Thompson. I took off one of the gooks and had it for a while, but then you can't take them back to the States anyway.
Yeah.
But it was we call it the pumpkin slinger. This is coming out of the mountains down there. You can see what the roads look like. There's nothing slippery and ice and slippery, and it just doesn't, wasn't any fun.
Wow.
This is the plea that they give us for joining the Chosin Few. It tells you about, you can only join it if you've been there. Nobody else, no honoraries. It's just, you have to have been there in order to get to be a Chosin Few.
Yeah.
This is the President's Unit Citation, my first one I got. This is the President's Unit Citation too. I don't know if it's one of the, if this is the one with the brigade or with the division.
So you said altogether you got 4 presidential citations.
4 of them, yeah. This is a cigarette lighter that was given to us by my lieutenant. The money we sold stuff in Korea. Remember, for all of our guys in Platoon. Ronson cigarette lighter. I've had it for forever. It tells when I was there and A Company First Engineers, combat engineers. This is my wife, Patricia Florence. She spent her time in the Navy, 2.5 years in the Navy. She's a Corps Wave at Quantico, Virginia. That's where I met her. That was 66 years ago or more.
Wow.
This is the Police Department, Marion. I was on there for 16 years, part-time.
Oh, you didn't talk about that in the interview.
Yeah, part-time.
Yeah?
It was enjoyable.
Tell us a little bit about your shadow box here.
Well, I had this made on the thing there. There's Korean ribbon. That is in National Defense, good conduct, 50 years. Combat service, combat save. I don't know, I have to look to see what those are. These are 50 years. I have a Korean POC. I don't know, I have to read these. 50 years, 60 years. And I don't know what the other one is.
Okay.
But I have 5 stars for this one.
For 5 battles?
5 battles.
Yeah.
And that's a good conduct.
Yeah.
That's the President's Unit Citation. They don't have a medal for it, but there's got stars on it.
All right, very good.